What is cover zero in its purest form? Cover zero, if we break it down, is a type of man coverage, and it's also a type of blitz. Defenses run cover zero for two really big reasons. The first reason being the offense is in a short yardage play, so they want to send more defenders at the line of scrimmage to stop the offense. The other reason could be the quarterback has had too much time in the pocket, and the defensive coordinator wants to hurry up the thought process of the quarterback and make him rush his throw. Now that we know what cover zero is and why a defense would want to run it, let's take a look at some whiteboard examples before we get into our film so we know what we're actually going to look for. In clip 1, we're going to see a defense that gets to cover zero lining up normally pre-snap. In clip 2, we're going to see the Dolphins run a different kind of defense where they put a lot of people at the line of scrimmage and they really show they're going to run cover zero before they actually do it. Now you can get to cover zero in a lot of different ways, but we're going to look at two ways to do it, and also we're going to see two similarities between really all types of cover zero that we're going to look at. And that similarity being where the corners and safeties are playing in the defense. They're going to be playing 10 or 12 yards off because the zero in cover zero means nobody's behind them. So if they get beat, it's going to be a touchdown. Here's an example of the Raiders playing the Jets. Let's take a look at how Derek Carr is able to identify and execute beating cover zero. So first off, we need to take a look at how many safeties there are. Obviously, we can see the two safeties here, but based on the way they're aligned, you can't really give what coverage it is. So we're going to have to look at the alignment of not only the safeties, but the corners to help us out in really figuring out what this coverage is pre-snap. So let's take a look at the top corner. What is his leverage? What is his hip angle? And where are his eyes looking? Well, let's start with leverage. We can see he's clearly inside leverage and his hip angle is pretty much square towards the receiver with his eyes looking at the receiver. So based on just those three things alone, that he's playing man coverage on that guy. But we don't know that for sure. Just because that's what we're guessing doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen post-snap. And we also have to take into account what other people are doing to guess the coverage. So we have a man coverage look on the top receiver. Let's look at the bottom one now. As he has a kind of an open hip angle, his eyes are looking at the quarterback, and he's kind of right over the top leverage-wise. So that's kind of his zone look. So this is kind of a good job by the Jets really disguising the coverage and giving two different looks for the quarterback. What's key to watch here is the safeties now. Now that we got the corners out of the way, now let's go back to the safeties and let's see where they're playing. Well, the top safety, he's playing right over the slot receiver. And if you can see the slot cornerback is now kind of in this receiver stance towards the line of scrimmage, and it looks like he's coming on a blitz. So that means that safety that's right over the top of that slot receiver is probably positioned there for a reason. He's playing man coverage. He's playing off man coverage. Now let's look at the bottom safety. What is his leverage, hip angle, and eyes? Where are his eyes looking? So his eyes are looking, as you can tell, he's looking right here at this number 3 receiver. He's looking at this tight end. His hip angle's there, and he's inside leverage, which we see on man coverage a lot. How can we tell this is cover zero? Well, we can tell this is cover zero because in cover zero, there's nobody helping the people in man coverage. And what did we read pre-snap? Well, we read the top corner is in man coverage. We read both of the safeties are in man coverage. And the bottom corner, we read him with his zone look, but with 3 out of the 4 people being in man, chances are the bottom corner is in man coverage. And that would mean there's nobody behind the 4 defensive backs in man coverage right now. So cover zero would be the only logical answer. And in cover zero, it's a blitz. And you see the slot cornerback and the 2 weak side linebackers also blitzing in the middle and off the edge. So with that, we can conclude that this is for sure cover zero. So how are we able to identify that this is cover zero before we snap the ball? Well, the first thing that should really set alarms off in our head is that we see 7 people lined up on the line of scrimmage for the Dolphins looking like they're going to blitz. That leaves 4 people in their secondary, 1 safety and 3 corners. So if we go ahead and get rid of the line and we just look at the 4 defensive backs and the 4 receivers lined up, we are able to tell that all the defensive backs are playing inside leverage of the receiver that they are directly over the top of. And as we know, inside leverage hints that the defense will be running man coverage. But wait a second, what about their hip angle and eyes? Just because a cornerback or safety's hips and eyes are facing in towards the quarterback does not necessarily mean they're in zone coverage. You will often see in cover 0 corners with a 10+ yard cushion and hips and eyes facing in towards the quarterback because they want to keep everything in front of them given they have no safety help behind them. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Now I'm going to let it play and we're going to see exactly why the Dolphins have an open hip angle with their corners. Because now, even before Lamar Jackson has thrown the ball, the corners and safeties in man coverage have came off their man because they're able to react and see what the quarterback is doing. So now instead of the slant being caught and it being a one-on-one situation, it's really now the receiver versus 4 defensive backs in order to get the first down. It was the hip angle and alignment of where the defensive backs were facing that enabled them to come off their man even before Lamar Jackson threw the ball to go rally and get the tackle. This plays a good reminder that the secondary alignment of what their leverage is, where their hips are facing, and what their eyes are looking at is just a helpful tool to help us decipher what coverage it is. It isn't the end-all be-all because now we're getting a zone look and a man look in the same play. So bringing in context and seeing that it's a blitz and that 7 people are blitzing the quarterback, we're able to tell that it has to be 4 defensive backs covering 4 receivers. I hope you were able to learn something about cover 0. Cover 0 is one of the 6 main coverages defenses can run. If you want to learn about the other 5, they'll be linked on a playlist below.